Hello everybody, Kyle here. I am going to review the new movie Black Adam that just released last night. I thought that this film was an enjoyable movie, but I have like many critiques with this movie, and I don't recall the last film I watched like this where I'm kind of like struggling between just an average viewer watching a movie, how I enjoyed it, and like the critic in me on whether this is a good movie or not. Because Black Adam, it's basically about the character Teth Adam, played by Dwayne Johnson. At the end of the movie, he calls himself Black Adam. He's from the comics, and he basically is a man that was bestowed with powerful gifts by the same gods that gave and the wizards that gave Shazam his powers. And he is awoken from a sleep, and when he's awoken, the Justice Society of America, the precursor to the Justice League, has to go and stop Black Adam from inflicting any more danger upon the world. And that's basically the story there, because then like the antagonists are really these mercenaries that are trying to find a relic, the MacGuffin of the movie. Essentially, it's a crown that would like resurrect the devil, kind of god they worship. And that is basically the plot of Black Adam. And it's a very strange plot because it's like it's really, I think, an action movie that they tried to write a plot around. So I think the big element of this movie is this JSA versus Black Adam and their ideals, and how you have this unstoppable force. And you even get to this point in the movie that I thought was interesting, where Black Adam is saying that no one can stop me. And even though the JSA, this consists of Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, Hawkman, played by Aldous Hodge, Cyclone, played by Quintessa Swindell, and Atom Smasher, played by Noah Centineo. They are superheroes. Some of them are older than others. Some of them have been in the business longer than others. But none of them can stop Black Adam. He is unstoppable. He is like Superman, like Shazam. Someone that, the only one that could probably stop him is someone that has that same power set, like a Superman, like a Shazam. But no one else can. And I do like seeing a character like that, where Black Adam in this movie, he could very easily go to the dark. If he wanted to, he could burn the whole world down by himself. But there's something stopping him, almost an inherent goodness to him that is keeping him from doing that. He doesn't take hostages. He will kill anyone that gets in his way. And that is something that is also really cool about Black Adam, because he kills so many people in this movie in the most brutal ways. It's almost like they're trying to make a Superman movie where Superman does kill, and Warner Brothers now is afraid of the audience, where, after Man of Steel, a lot of the audience didn't like how Superman killed Zod and all of this, so they're now making a superhero that can do that, whereas then there's Superman that we'll probably see in another movie later down the road with Henry Cavill. He will not kill. And I think that is an interesting concept they can have for Black Adam. I also really enjoyed the character dynamics of Hawkman and Dr. Fate. For me, Hawkman stole the show. Aldous Hodge was a great Hawkman, and he had this like never give up attitude to him, where even though he cannot ultimately defeat Black Adam, he would rather die trying than to give up. And I just love that in a character. And there's this like great moment not to give spoilers away, where another character's in this position where they are going to sacrifice themselves, and Hawkman is not going to let that happen. And you really care about Aldous Hodge in this role. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is really cool, very suave. He's like James Bond if James Bond has superpowers. And I thought he was perfect in his banter with Hawkman. They look like two unlikely allies, especially in their power sets, but they really do, I think, at the end of the day, come together to be quite a team. The other JSA members, Atom Smasher and Cyclone, they are a bit of the weaknesses of the movie, not because of the actors' performances, but mainly because they don't give them much to do. And they make them like the new kids, like the recruits. And I think that was a bit of a mistake because they really, at the end of the day, don't even have like a shining moment in the movie. When it comes to even other comic book films that have new characters that are introduced, they always get like a moment to shine. But in the case of Cyclone and Atom Smasher, by the end of the movie, you really do not care about them. And I think that was a disappointing element to the film. Also, the villain of this movie, and it's like they did not want to tell you the villain in the movie in the trailers, basically because the villain is terrible. The villain in this movie is a CGI, bad guy that doesn't even, have much of a character background at all. And that's something that I will also pin on the director, because Jaume Collet-Serra, who directs this, he directed one of the worst movies I saw in 2021, Jungle Cruise. And he actually directed some other good movies I may have liked, like I think he directed The Shallows with Blake Lively. But one thing is for sure, he does not make good villains in his movies. Like his Jungle Cruise, I thought the villains were terrible. In this film, I think that the villain is just such a cartoony character that it's a real shame, because I feel Black Adam, at least there is something to work with in that hero slash protagonist, whatever you call him. And yet the villain Sabbac in this movie just is not good. Also, there's a kid in this film. He's kind of like one of the main parts of the movie. He kind of looks up to all these superheroes, looks up to Black Adam. I don't like saying that, like a kid was a bad actor, but in the case of this movie, this kid was a bad actor, and I don't really know how much better the movie would have been if the actor was, better, but the screenplay for the kid was also pretty weak. He just was not a good character. It really, I think, dragged the movie down. I thought that also the visual effects at times were quite poor, and it's also due to the fact that there were so many VFX on screen. I could only imagine how they had just so little time to work on them. They did delay the movie because they wanted to work more on the VFX. I'm glad, because I feel like if this movie was released in July, it just would not have been as good as it looks now. But even now, it still has issues. Mainly with like the way that Black Adam flies, it does not look natural. It looks very, very video gamey. What else is there to talk about? I think the score is pretty interesting that Lorne Balfe does. And yeah, like there's a post-credit scene in the movie. Post-credit scene is really good, but it's basically been spoiled all over the internet at this point. I think if there were two other things I do like about Black Adam, it's that it's not an origin story. I do like seeing this character. The way they situate him is a very interesting type of introduction to a superhero character. But then what I really did like, I think, of this movie at the end of the day was how much action was in the film, because there's like, this movie is like 80% action. And I appreciate that when going to see a movie like this, because sometimes in trailers they'll show you action scenes, but they show you all the, all the best scenes, almost all the scenes at times, like Black Widow, for instance. In the case of this movie, it gets to a point where I can see some people saying it's nauseating. I like a lot of action. I really like to see movies, though, that do give us better character work and better villains. So once again, like, I enjoyed myself watching the movie, but it's not, it's honestly, I think it is one of the lowest DC films they've made. I am not apologetic when I say that. I really did love the 2016 Suicide Squad, and I think one of my lower DC movies is actually Birds of Prey. It's not a bad movie, but it's just that it's a movie that doesn't really connect with me that much, and I think I would wrote Black Adam with that. I would honestly say Birds of Prey is better than Black Adam, because there's a lot of sequences in Birds of Prey, especially like the fighting choreography, that is really good. Black Adam, it's just a movie that I think a lot of people will forget about. And it's a shame, because The Rock worked really hard on the movie. He made sure that it's a movie that will entertain audiences, but it's just not a movie that I think will stick with audiences. We will see how much it makes at the box office. We will see how much people do love it. I see on Rotten Tomatoes it has like a 90%, so that is good. But I mean, I think the thing with Black Adam, there's a lot more potential there that they could have made a better film with. I don't know. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy Black Adam? Are you looking forward to the future of the DC Universe, maybe with more Black Adam stories? Let me know down below in the comments, and take care, everybody. Bye.